Hello, come in.
Hello, Mr. Lucas.
Hey, Wafa, how you doing? Take a seat.
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Pleasure to see you.
Well, I have the pleasure today to interview about my dream job.
Okay.
And since you're a writer, I chose you.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So tell me, why did you choose writing in particular?
Writing in particular, a lot of things that we writers like to say is that we didn't choose to write, the writing chose us.
Wow.
You know, so I don't know what you can make of that, and I don't know how true I think that is, because at some points in my life I think I have chosen to write. I think every morning I wake up and I choose to write, but the underlying current of it I think is something that chose me. You know, it was really something that was in the cards, if you wanted, in maktub. You know?
Maktub,
yeah,
right.
maktub, yeah,
Yes,
which is very...
It's true, it's true. So being a writer, was it your dream job from the very beginning?
What do you mean, like, from...
Have you thought about it before, like...
When I was in my mother's womb? Beginning?
No, like 12 years old, as a 12 years old boy. Have you ever thought of writing? Did it ever cross your mind?
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't think you could be a writer. So I spent a lot of time writing silly stories that were parodies of Star Wars, or I read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, so I tried to write my own like Sherlock Holmes detective stories.
I love those stories too.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Wonderful stories.
So yeah, no, I think I tried to write stories, but I didn't think I knew you could be a writer until I was maybe 16 or 17 years old. I think that's the first time I understood that people made a living as a writer. And I kept it in the back of my head, but I knew how hard it was. You know, I knew it would be really, really difficult. And I don't think it was until I was maybe 27 or so.
27 that you started.
I started figuring out how one can be a writer. You know, because it's difficult. It's not something you just wake up, I'm going to write, because you have to do everything else. You know, you have to, you have your personal life, you have, a husband, a wife, you have your kids, you have your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, you have your family, and then you have to pay the bills somehow. So
of course,
you need to have a job. So between your family life, your job, your friends, how do you fit in writing? And that took me a few years to figure out, like, where's the time in the day that I can dedicate to writing? And little by little, things start to happen, and I think by the time I was 30, I figured I was going to be a writer, and I knew it was going to take me about 10 years.
Yes,
so
that's true.
I'm 36 now, so I think, I am a writer right now, but I think to become a writer who's making a living writing, it's going to take me about 4 more years.
Okay.
And that's with a little bit of luck.
Yeah,
because that's the other thing, you need a little bit of luck. Yeah, you do. You have to work hard, and you hope that it's good enough to get a little lucky.
And you also have to know how to create opportunities, because I do believe that luck is about creating opportunities and being in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, were there other fields that you were interested in?
Yes, lots of other fields.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Like what?
So I actually started in college. I started in the business school, and I was interested in having a good job and doing well in college. And I was the first of my family to go to college, so nobody really knew what to do once you got to college. It was, what do you do now? So I started in the business school. I quickly found that wasn't for me, as anybody who knows me understands. That me and business do not get along. And then I was in the art school for a while. I was in music school for a while. So I pursued painting. I pursued, I played trombone. Now I play guitar too. So I taught myself guitar, but I was playing trombone. Played trombone for 12 years. So I pursued some other interests. And then even outside of that, like going back as a kid, I was really into like outer space and astronomy, into superheroes, comic books, this kind of stuff. Typical boy things maybe, but I was really and my first job ever was at a comic book shop. I worked for 3 years at a comic book shop, like getting into Superman, Spider-Man, and some other comics that aren't as well read, like Spawn or Gen 13, some of the Image comics at the time. And I was getting into like the history of the comic book and have books on this stuff. I was really studying the history of comic books, which was another interest.
So, as a writer, what do you like the most in your job?
As a writer, I honestly like the moment when you walked in, you caught me doing. I like
I noticed that.
I like just typing. You know, just
Wow.
if I can. The act of writing itself.
I saw that look in your eyes, like you were in your own world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I think that moment of creation when you're putting words on the page for the first time. For a writer, this is the drug. You know, this is like your coffee in the morning, or if you like your cigarette, or your heroin addict or something.
Yeah.
This is our drug, and it's just putting words on the paper. You know, and for the first time, I'd say this is where I get maybe the most kind of bliss out of it. If you want to like bliss.
Yeah.
And then, but there's another moment, and that's the moment when you've written a piece and you've revised it and you've worked over it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, 30 times, until you're sick of it. You're just Safi, I'm done. And at that moment, when you're done and you give it and it's published, or even if it's not published, you just put it in a file and you know you're done with that, there's another, it's almost like relief.
Relief,
yeah. Almost like,
I'm
finally done, you know. But there's almost like a relief, but there's another kind of sense of pride of finishing something.
Yeah, I've done this.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, so there's these two things, you know. There's the bliss, and then there's the pride. And these are the two moments, I think, and it's very much the beginning and the end. You know, the first, the naissance of a thing, and then the end of it. You know, yeah.
If you had to choose your dream job all over again, if you had to go through the whole process all over again, would you do the same thing? Would you choose writing again?
Yeah. I mean, that's provided. I mean, I can't be like a Lego master. I can't be a Lego. I mean, if to go back to childhood, if I could be a Lego master, you know, one of the people that just build Legos, and that's their job, I might choose that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What are your keys of success? What are they?
Keys of success in writing?
Yes, in writing. Because I read some of your articles. I mean, yeah, they're really quite interesting. So
I'm still trying to reach success. I don't think I've been successful yet, and I think the drive to want to have a continued success is something that I hope will facilitate future success. Any success I've had now, anything other people are thinking, oh, that's a successful piece of writing, or oh, this is, you know, someone who's on a road of success. I think the only way I've gotten whatever I've gotten so far is just in showing up every day. You know, like I spend, I mean, anywhere from 10 minutes to 10 hours a day writing, and every day I do a little bit of writing. Most days, my schedule is 2 to 4 hours. Depending on the day, it's 2 hours to 4 hours. But I have days where I splurge. And then I have other days where family commitments maybe are a little bit much, but I still make sure I make 10 minutes.
Yes.
And I think that dedication just every day, I think eventually that'll pay off. And I'll have the kind of success I'm looking for.
Yeah, I do believe that success is about commitment. Yeah, you told us last semester that you wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, and that's a huge commitment that you have to stick to.
And that's a habit.
Yes.
So it's, you know, from 5 to 7, and then breakfast, and then, you know, from 8 o'clock on.
To teach. So what were the impediments that you faced before becoming a writer?
Laziness.
Laziness.
Number one. Yeah. Getting up at 5 in the morning.
Yes.
You know, this is the number one impediment.
That's huge.
Number two, I think, to get any good writing, you have to put your ego aside. You know, we're all very egoist, you know, we all very much have this ego we carry around. And I think to get the best writing, the kind of writing that I'm most proud of, it's not only showing up, but it's showing up without my ego. You know, putting that aside and writing the story that needs to be written, or the article that needs to be written for itself, not for me. You know? And so that's when I said, when you ask about success, for me, the idea of success, maybe I'll think about it before I die. Because that's very much like an egotistical thing. To think, oh, I'm such a successful person. And I don't, that's going to ruin it. You know, you won't be successful if that's how you think.
Of course.
So for me, it's, you put the ego aside, you don't worry about success. You just do the thing that you love, and you do it the best way you can. And you do it for the thing that you love. And that could be art, that could be, you know, painting, sculpture. For me, it's writing.
Mhm.
For maybe some people love economics,